I can zoom.
Yes.
Wonderful. And Jeanette.
Peggy popped up then.
Peggy popped up there. Danny popped up then. And Jeanette. How can I help you on this wonderful evening? I even brought a pen. A pen. I have paper.
Pencil.
Just so I could mirror Danny. You never know, mate. Even use it yet. Here we go. Shoot.
I couldn't think of any specific. A lot of the family rules that were in chapter 8 made a lot of sense, but when you think about a family rule, yeah, I couldn't think of any. I could really relate to the examples because I listened to that recording, well, like your audio 2 or 3 times. And I can't remember, and I can't remember the details of it, but I know that a lot of it felt familiar.
So, as I'll just sort of wade in a little then, right? So grab my pen. Now, pretend we've never met. Do you have any siblings?
Yes. A younger brother.
A what brother?
A younger brother.
A younger brother. And by chance, a couple of years younger or more?
Yeah, 2 years.
Never. That's interesting. Now, do you get the feeling I'm working my way through the book as I'm speaking here?
Possibly.
You might have noticed that one, yeah. So, and is your younger brother, so how many times have you attempted to kill your brother?
None that I can think of. Maybe wanted to.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if we look in the chapters there, you'll see the sibling rivalry. If you'd said 4 years or 5 years or more, I'd have just skipped on. But you didn't. You said 2. Less. Your mum and dad. There you were, little princess. And they just didn't think you would last. Didn't think you were good enough. Went and had another one. What are you noticing now?
Yeah, that feels kind of uncomfortable.
Just. And it's interesting because it's as uncomfortable as your eye pattern was when you were looking for something that you couldn't find earlier. Swallow. You know, when you said, oh, you didn't mind, just gloves off, goes Steve. Well, we're only like 3 minutes in. I mean, are you...
Yeah, carry on.
Are you okay? So, would you say, who would you say was the favorite? You or your brother? I mean, obviously, your mum and dad, you're both equal. Yeah. However, which one's the favorite? You seem to be looking down. Is there a shame coming in there? What's that?
Because I don't want to say that I think there's a favourite.
So there is shame there. Can you see? Did everybody see the shame hit the screen? It's all right. It's still there. She's just squirming a bit.
When I was younger, I would have said definitely my brother.
Well, how much younger? What, like 3 years younger than today, or up until what age?
Probably until I moved out.
When did you move out? About 12, 13, what?
Probably. And was it well, I moved out and back in, but like probably about, yeah, late teens, really.
Late teens, right? And so then, for the benefit of everybody watching, we're not really going to take any notice of anything she said just then, right? And she knows it too. Right? Because that's far too late, isn't it? So when you were much younger then, you knew very clearly who the favorite was. That bottom lip's getting a bit of work on it. Fascinating. Now, can you notice when you're working with it, it's a fun one. We've got to keep it jolly because it can get intense very, very quick. Can't it, Jeanette?
Mm.
So sorry for keep laughing, but one of us has to.
The only way to keep it.
It goes deep very quick, you see. And if we were in a counselling environment, we certainly wouldn't be moving at this sort of speed. I'd still be sitting here scratching my backside and asking you, have you got anything you want to work with this year? And time would drag on. So we're there, and as a daughter, a female woman, little girl then, when you're looking at this, what should we call him, a crown stealer? It's funny, isn't it? When you're an adult, you look and be like, what? Doesn't seem to fit, but there's like a piece inside you that just knows it does.
It feels wrong to think that, but yeah.
It just doesn't fit, but to bring the words to your mouth, to actually verbalize and vocalize it, it's against the rules.
Mm.
Happy Families, chapter 8, I think. Happy Families. Oh, we're in Happy Families. That's all right. So, what are you noticing now, other than you wish you hadn't volunteered?
There is that, but they're not saying. Yeah. It's just how it was.
It's funny that, isn't it? You used it just for the non-English that are on board here. Jeanette used the word was. Yeah. Now in English, that is past tense. Yeah, like it happened like yesterday or years ago. Yeah. And she said was, but actually what she meant to say was is. And if you watch her non-verbals now, you can see is lands better because she still isn't voicing. Breathing's good. So, is this deep enough for now? And we can chat about other things, or?
No, crack on.
Sure. So, you said was, but you meant is. Did you realize you said was?
Because when I think about my brother, it feels like a was.
But when you think about the pattern, see, I'm not even chatting about your brother. I'm just chatting about patterns, you see.
Pattern is, yeah, often not saying what I think.
And your shoulders give me a sort of, it's a fair cop look. You went patterns. Your shoulder, it's a fair cop. Yeah.
Mm.
So then you give me a future pace. So it's still continuing.
They're not saying what I think.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, just not being there for yourself.
Mm. Yeah.
What are you noticing now? Swallow, swallow.
It's easier to be there for everybody else than it is for me.
Yeah, you remember?
So we're chatting values then.
Mm.
So you can see how we could very quickly spend the next few sessions on values, and we get lots out of it. Or we could just stick with the pattern. Because if we see on this pattern, I think, you know, we could probably get some goodies out of it. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to see, there's your brother. You've had your crown stolen. Yeah. Now, did mum and dad realize that handed the crown over to your brother?
I don't even think they would notice.
You think
Yeah,
what?
I don't even think they would notice. Everything in their minds fair's fair. Everything's fair.
Everything's fair, even when it's unfair.
Mm.
And by your own admission, it was very unfair.
That sounds extreme, but it didn't.
Well, you're the one
It seemed
wiggling.
extreme.
I'm sitting on a chair and I'm not wiggling.
I've got a
You're
whirly
wiggling-
chair though.
You're wiggling all over the place, which sort of suggests there's an awful lot of energy backing up that statement. What do you think? As a child, not as an adult, it's not the adult brain we're chatting about. It's that little girl.
Mm.
So it wasn't fair.
Mm. Mm.
And your mum and dad are lovely. But it's got nothing to do with your mum and dad.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to do with those two young adults who had those two young children.
Then they were young.
See, because one of the challenges when you're working here is that the client is viewing their mum or dad as that they're trapped in this time and space, this void. So your mind's eye is seeing that young mum and dad, but they have moved. So
When I think about it now, yeah, it's like mum and dad. I think they probably didn't know what they were doing. They were just like, really, when you think kids themselves, and I can logically think about that. Logic doesn't work here, does it?
You make a lovely logical picture, but it's so far away, Jeanette. We can't even. We need a telescope to see where you've got that. But you look at us all the way over there somewhere. Yeah, that's your rational piece. Yeah. So then, when it comes to putting yourself first, when do you do it? And we've got all night. I mean, yeah.
En wat kan je nou met elkaar, dat ik er ook bij ben?
I always have to think about other people's.
Always.
Like, what if? Because what's right for me might impact on somebody else. Right?
So
wouldn't want to upset people.
You wouldn't want to upset anyone. So what level of upset would you say was upsetting? How upsetting? Somebody you cut them off in the car. What about that? by accident.
If it was by accident, I'd apologize, like, hand up, apologise.
But they've kicked into road rage and they want to stab you.
I'd probably try to get out of the way, but I'd be like, I'd question whether it was something that I did then.
You'd make it about you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's going to go wrong, it's got to be about you.
I've done it, yeah.
Yeah. What about if it goes right? It can't be about you, can it?
Then it's luck.
Can't be about your effort, can it?
No. No.
How mad does that sound?
It's stupid.
Sounds nuts, doesn't it? Now, do you think your mum and dad, right, when you were about 18 months old, yeah, do you think your mum and dad had a master plan? And she winked at him and said, come and get some of me. And in 9 months' time, we'll have a boy and it'll ruin our Jeanette's life. Do you think that was the plan?
No.
No. So I'm just looking at Danny there. Are you planning on child number 2 yet, Danny? Everybody calculating how old's my sister? There's, oh no, this is all about me. Right, here we go. Bless. So, anybody want to throw anything in yet? Or are we all doing well? Happy days? Yeah. Okay. So, anything, Jeanette? It is fascinating, isn't it?
Mhm.
So, is it possible that, you know, when your first, like the birthday you sort of remember, you know, like 5 or 6, so yeah. When's your birthday?
December.
Sorry?
December.
Oh, never.
Mm.
December the what?
2nd.
The thing is, you probably already guessing where I'm going. And anybody that has their birthday anywhere near anybody else's significant date knows where I'm going. What time of year was your brother born? Sorry?
January. January.
January. It doesn't sound too far past, but it's a whole new celebration, isn't it?
Mm.
Because if you have a birthday around Christmas, there's usually Christmas is kind of stealing your birthday a bit. But if you have a birthday in January, it's a January birthday. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Everything in your, did your toes just curl about then? There's just something about
Just literally shuffled my feet.
yeah. You get good at this after a while. So there you are. Even your birthdays have been stolen. Hey? And when you go for, you know, that big cake that, did you used to get a big cake on your birthday?
There's always a cake, I think. Yeah.
Why didn't I get the feeling it wasn't very big? Because obviously we're going to be getting big cakes and things in another couple of weeks, aren't we? So we'll just do your little thing because it'll spoil Christmas. And we don't want your birthday spoiling Christmas, do we?
I'm just thinking there wouldn't be a lot of money in the house when I was little, so that's probably why. And Christmas is a bigger thing.
It would have been rolled into Christmas.
Mm.
It makes sense. Wouldn't have been a lot of money around, and so it makes sense, yeah.
Mm.
And then January would come, and what did they put your brother's birthday early? So he had his birthday
This
around,
was the 9th.
sorry,
The 9th.
the 9th.
Mhm.
So did they just bring it backwards 9 days, and you're on the 2nd of December. I'm not good with maths, but if you're on the 2nd of December, Christmas is, let me guess, the 25th. That'd be like 25 minus 2. That'd be 23 days out. And your brother's born on the 9th. So there's 9 back would be the 31st. 25 at now, I think your brother is actually closer to Christmas than you. You're in days. I mean, by nearly a week or so. But your brother got a birthday, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sorry, by the way, I'm just trying out a hearing aid. Literally, I've got a hearing aid, and it's like, wow. But I still can't hear Jeanette.
No, yes.
No, yeah, which it sounds like a scene out of Little Britain at the moment. Yes, no, no, yes, no, what? No, yes. Yes or no?
I've forgotten what you said because you distracted me with your ear.
Oh, is that what I did? Yee. Anyway, right, and I'm just playing, right. So as you can see, all of this injustice, right, it's mad because it's just families. Yeah, mum and dad and think, oh, we'll screw the daughter over. Yeah, and they're not doing it. But when you look at it from how a child would view it, from the mammalian brain, the emotional stressor, like, wow, it's huge. And that's the only reason I keep bringing humor in, to try and lighten it, because, like, wow. And if you took this thing seriously, God, you'd jump off a bridge. That's mental. That's why we don't take it seriously. Yeah? We just play with it and just notice. So if we wound that clock all the way back, right? So on the night that your dad got a twinkle in his eye and you were 18 months old, right? If you'd started instead and put your mother off, so your mother said no, you wouldn't have your brother. Would you trade your brother?
No,
Are you sure?
I would not want to have a brother.
You wouldn't not want to have him. So for that one night, I mean, you'd probably be able to work it out with calendar dates and that, and figure out which pub your mum and dad had gone to. But you can all the way back. So thanks to that evening, your brother was born. Yeah. Oh, that was a bit tough, wasn't it? It's like you're shrinking down that screen. Like, can you make yourself any smaller? It's like, how far down that screen can you go? Come back to the lens. Yeah. So when is it okay for you to put yourself first? Now I'm writing this down, see? It's okay for me to put myself first. ... Dot, dot, dot. The funny thing is, everybody's willing you on, but I'm sure a few of them are running that sentence through their own head. It's okay to put myself first when. And now you can see there's a family rule sitting here. It's a huge blank. Yeah.
I know I will have at some. I know I have. I'm sure I have done at some point, but I can't think of a time that I would say.
Well, it's okay to put myself first when my mother says so. No?
It feels a bit better, but
It's okay to put myself first when my parents say so. How's that feel?
that's fine.
A little bit better again? It's okay to put myself first when my partner says so.
Mhm.
Now I'm going to doodle again. Do you need to ask for permission to put yourself first?
I shouldn't have to.
No, I'm just asking though, do you need to? It certainly sounded like you needed.
Probably check in before I did anything.
Oh, so you need to then.
It's courtesy.
It's quick if you agree. I mean, if you disagree, but
It's courtesy to.
sorry?
It's courtesy to check in.
Oh, it's called checking in now, is it? Right. So I need to check in. There you go, using your, I need to check in as a courtesy
Mhm.
before asking if I might put myself first.
I don't see it as asking.
What, is it telling? Because I
I
need
think before allowing myself.
oh, but you need to check in with others first to see if they'll allow you to allow you. Is that it?
No, because
Well, what if they say no?
then if I really wanted to do it, I'd probably go ahead and do it.
Yeah, would you?
It would depend on the situation.
Well, not according to this. Because you just said, I need to check in because it's courtesy. I need to check in because it's courtesy. I love that. Before I put myself first. Is that about it?
Yeah.
Sorry? I'll just read it again. I need to check in because it's courtesy before I put myself first.
But I might not have thought about something that would upset somebody. So
I'm smiling because there's people whose toes are curling on your behalf listening to this. Like, wow. So, what might happen if you don't check in? If you thought, oh, sod it, I'm just going to do it. Which is probably, according to this, never ever happened because you always have to check in with someone. But let's imagine it did.
I could hurt somebody and I don't want to do that.
So what evidence, yeah? So putting yourself first could hurt someone. You're very cautious with the nod, but it looked like a nod. Is it, are you nodding?
It makes sense.
That makes sense. So
Mhm.
I'm going to write that down since it makes sense to you, even though it caused your entire structure to freeze. Putting myself first could harm someone. Yeah.
That sounds stupid though, doesn't it?
That depends on if you're the someone or not. So how many people have you harmed so far by putting yourself first? We all know what the answer is, but we'll wait.
I don't think there's anybody.
Sorry?
I don't think there's anybody that I can remember. I know.
Probably not, right? Everybody's agreeing, right? What a shock, right? And so you've never actually, I mean, you would harm a bloody fly, man. Right? So you've got all of this evidence to say that you've never actually harmed anyone by putting yourself first. Yeah? I'd like to see who got on there, but we haven't.
I know. Well, you see, I'm thinking of somebody that I wasn't nice to, and now that's coming in my head.
Right? How old were you?
Primary school.
I thought about 6, but there we go. And what happened to that person? Did they die?
No. No, they just had a bit of a beating.
Bless. So, how old are you now, Jeanette? Just out of curiosity, because you were about 5 or 6 then. So, how old are you now?
I'd say I'm in my 40s.
You're in your 40s, right? So, all of your evidence of life suggests that in all of those years, you managed once
To stick up for myself.
and what happened afterwards?
I got told off.
Oh. And that will be that little auditory piece then. And who told you off?
2 people.
2 people.
My mum and my mum's friend, not friend. No.
So your mum and your auntie, because she used to get in the bingo with your mum.
No,
She wasn't that close to your mum.
and no, she was horrid to my mum.
Not back then, she wasn't, was she?
No, at that point it was the turning point. No, she was horrid.
Now pause. She was horrid to your mum.
Yeah.
Did your mum step up?
No.
You watch your mum shrink. You wanted your mum to grow and she shrunk. And that little mind of yours learned instantly that if your mother, the most powerful woman in creation, couldn't step up at a point when she should, you'd never have permission.
Mm.
Now, stop blubbing, get out your head, come back to me, because we're going to do something about it.
Where did you pull that one from, Matt?
Well, I didn't. I just followed you, my darling. Pretty cool, eh? That's what I say. If anybody ever says, I have a family rule about such and such, I chuckle to myself. There are no family rules in my book. It's a book about family rules. But none of the rules that apply to you, none of the rules that keep your muzzles on and keep you locked in place, none of them are in the book. Because they're yours. They're signatures and they're hidden inside your blueprint. That's where we're going to go having a look. Now, can you feel your core? You're trembling, you bless you, you dafty. Right. Now we'll sort it, okay? And this is a dead simple piece. Yeah. All I want to do is close those beautiful eyes of yours. Now, in case anybody never noticed, she's got these big, lovely, big brown eyes, right? So what I want you to do is we're going to wander back there. And this time, I want you to step in as a director, and I want you to give your mum all of the resources that she needs at that point. You can see little you trembling and looking up, and you can see your mum, and you can see that other woman, and I want to give your mother the ability to grow 20 feet tall. And instead of barking, I want you to give her all of the elegance and grace that she has. Give her it in heaps. So that as that woman goes to growl, your mother just gives her a look. And your mum just lifts one finger and says, enough. And just watch. Wow. Watch how cool it is. Your mother just went, enough. It looked like it was going to get all wobbly. And your mum just waved that one finger. Enough. That's how you sold. And just allow that wonderful woman that you call mother, allow her to grow. That's right. Wow. Do you see, she's 20 foot tall. Mothers are always about 20 foot tall, especially when you're 6. They're huge, awesome creatures. And they do not take truck from anyone. That's right. And allow your mum to have all of those resources. And wander through to now, only as quickly as you can allow that learning to touch all of those times and places in your past, so that you can witness your magic finger like your mum. And then zoom past now into tomorrow, next week, December the 9th. I'm having that cake, enough. That's right. Wow, have as big a cake as you want. It's December the 9th, for God's sake. Is a bigger cake on December the 9th than Christmas Day? Stick your pudding up your backside, mother. That's right. Enough. Wow. And when you feel there's enough resources in there for both of you, you can wander back to now. Then those beautiful eyes will open. That's right. Wow. Ah. Wow. Look at you checking about. What are you noticing now?
Think about my mum.
Bit of future pace there. So can just read the sentence out for me. It's okay for me to put myself first.
It's okay for me to put myself first.
It's okay for me to put myself first when I've had enough.
It's okay for me to put myself first when I've had enough.
What did you just notice there, Jeanette, with that little grin creeping in?
I'm just wondering when is enough.
Interesting. Yeah. So is that okay for now for a little run around? Yeah. Because I'm going to throw a few questions up and that and let Jeanette sort of say, because when I do one of those and pull out, there's bubbles pop off for quite a while with that sort of thing. Yeah. As you can see, still busy, busy, busy. So I'll probably not chat to you for a minute or two. I'll let you just bubble on.
Yeah.
Questions. Point number one, you'll notice it's a high auditory session. There's a lot of talking. Yeah. If you ever tried removing AMIs or moving them around and noticing no matter where you move them, they don't seem to want to shift or the pattern sticks, it's because you've got a family rule stuck in there. But if I'd said to Jeanette, tell me about your family rule around not putting yourself first, should have gone, huh? See what I mean? So instead, I just pitch up, see what we've got. Younger sibling, alert, alert. My crown has been stolen. I was just being innocent, and then he came along and stole it. And they kept giving them bigger birthday cakes. So do you see, when is your birthday? It sounds mad, doesn't it? But as we all know, if you have a birthday near a significant date, the tragedy is it tends to get lumped in. Yeah. Like if your birthday is in England, we have Halloween, 31st of October. So if your birthday happens to be on the 27th of October, good luck ever getting your real birthday. It's just the way it is. Yeah. Now, as adults, it makes sense. It's more practical and all of that. But as a child, it's theft. Now, we got to learn how the generalizations of putting myself first could harm someone. Now, think about it. You've got to, if you follow that pattern, that's a roadmap straight back to primary school. Because the someone wasn't Jeanette. The someone was a mother. I'm just watching Danny checking that one out. Does that make sense? Her system, because she stood up for herself. Well done, little. She stood up for herself. Wow, it's in there, Jeanette. it's in you. When she did, her mum was there, but this other woman was there too. And the fallout between the mums, the women at that level, happened because of what I did at my level. And the only woman I'm concerned with is me mum. So I can't put myself first because it might harm my mum. It's all in there. One little sentence. So then all we've got to do, nip back in time. Masita, hand in the air. Do you have a question? You'll have to take it off.
That's it. So,
This is a long way back, this one. Go on then.
if the family rules are so strong, how do I word it? I've got to try and think how it makes sense. If the family rules are so strong and you know they're not going to change, how do you get to the point of grace of accepting them, but you don't accept them and you punish them for them?
I'll put it another way, right? I'll try and sort of help you out here, right? Family rules, right, are an invention of mine, but they only became an invention because of observing clients, right? Even you attempting to articulate it was confusing, yeah?
Yeah.
And the reason it's confusing is because you're talking about an area that means life or death if you dare voice it. And it means your death. So if we take Jeanette, for example, and she's nodding away there beautifully, right? Jeanette, because of what happened when she was a child, we hadn't discussed this beforehand, you see what I mean? The only thing I had Lisa message Jeanette to say, look, if we're getting too deep, too personal, I won't go there, because obviously people are viewing and stuff. That was the only agreement we made. So we didn't know we were heading here or anything. And that's the beauty of a family rule. There is no knowing. But the client will have no conscious access to that rule. No way. That's why you bring your pen and paper. So the only time you see me write is when I want to nail the family rule. You see, there's more writing up here, more writing, less. Boom. But I've been doing it for 30 years now. Oh. So start wide, cast your net, throw it. Watch. If you get wiggle, they're on the hook. Now, it's up to you then, based on what sentence you threw forward, to see what part of that is the what. You see what I mean? Where's the response coming from? So then, just to finish, I think what you were saying there, Masita, is how can I free myself from one? Yeah, that's number one. Well, I promise you, the day you're able to free yourself from one, come give me a shout and I'll get lessons from you, right? Because they're buried inside your subconscious. They're hidden from you, so you don't get conscious access. You see what I mean? So the moment you think, that's the rule I'm going to work with, you're wrong. And that was the point I made in The Saboteur Within. The very thing that you think will take you to therapy is what your system is sending you to therapy with, knowing you'll never make it back to the family rule. Hence, you can spend years in therapy miserable because your system is happy that you will not open that rule up because you'll never get there.
So maybe I think I meant belief. So the belief is strong, but the family rule is to not say anything about it.
Family rule is stronger. You see what it is? Family rules and beliefs, it's the same thing. It's a structure. Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
a family rule is it's a belief, isn't it? Because little Jeanette, we'll just use Jeanette's. So she's in the playground, stood up for herself. Well done, we all think. Well done, we're over the moon. But mum comes and this other, power creature. We'll see it, yeah? So mum has to tell her daughter off a little bit, but the power creature is a. So Jeanette's mum is like, well, I'm telling her off, but you've got, and because they're at that level, Jeanette's mum shrunk, and little Jeanette saw the shrink of the parent. Your mum and dad, they're number one creatures on the planet. You see what I mean? If you see them shrink, your system learns to recoil. And you'll never, ever, ever step up. Why? Because your role masters never taught it to you. You see what I mean? The moment you did your first lesson in life, you stood up, and I'm like, well done. But by you standing up, your mother was punished.
Mhm.
You see what I mean? So can we see the logic now? But if we'd sat on the drink for 2 weeks, I'd have never got Jeanette to spout that sentence up. You see what I mean? No matter how dilly-dally we got on alcohol and happy or whatever, we would never make it back to that event unless we'd mapped it. You see what I mean? And you feed the same sentence in, and you're just getting closer and closer, and then it's like, bop. And she even chuckled, if you remember. So, oh, well, I did stand up for myself once. And there she's chuckling again. I stood up for myself once and thought, there, let's have a look at the once. Yeah. When was it, 3 weeks ago? A little bit further. But it was the once. A one. Remember, emotional memory images are created by first time emotionally overwhelming experiences. So it wasn't emotionally I'm coming, Danny. It wasn't emotionally overwhelming that Jeanette stood up for herself, which would have been emotionally overwhelming, but she stood up. The emotional overwhelm came straight afterwards. Danny?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like when you were asking her at the beginning and she was fixating on that upper left, and then you went in and went through all the process, and then she went back up to that upper left. Is that accessing something different, and the fixation point was just in a similar place, or was she going to the same place as she was at the beginning?
You're just you're checking out the environment first and the whole context. But when they go back a second time, the context widened because it's resourced. So that's so when you look back a second, I'll just nip back to Jeanette and we'll check. Since she's here. Jeanette, try thinking about that playground incident now. What are you noticing? Anytime, I mean, quicker.
I can see it, but
Detached. So that was the final you saw as like a zoom out, same contact, but wider contact. She just used a wider lens.
So if you wouldn't have gone through the family rules process and you would have just helped her connect that first upper left fixation, would that have like done something but then nothing? If that makes
Nothing.
sense.
And
Yeah.
that, can you see, this was in my first 10 years or so, seriously, of just what, and those clients would leave and I'd be vexed because I think it won't stick. It's not sticking because I'm not breaking that, that synaptic connection, from a synaptic position, neurons that fire together, wire together. Yeah. And what we did then, you can check with Jeanette now, this is interesting now. Look at that face. Because she's busy. She's got a lot of catching up to do. Look out, world. Yeah, so if that makes sense, so this is the problem. If you just stayed with EMIs, I mean, I think next paper is being published next week or so. So I think we'll have 8 published peer review articles now. So that's not bad. But if you just stay with EMIs, you're only ever going to get the superficials. You've got to get under there and find the rule structures. If you find the rule structures, it's like dominoes then. You can sit back and you literally, that's why I'm chatting to everyone around except Jeanette, because she's busy at pretty cool. Yeah, questions? There's one in a chat. Is that a dead one, is it?
How does is it always so that the crown is passed on? Because in some cultures, like the oldest or the ladies or the men are, it's the most important.
If you think of it like a nest, see, I've never gone beyond the fact of we're mammalian beings. I haven't really got into this modern world yet, because I don't believe we are very modern. We haven't moved far enough yet. We still live in boxes that look quite cave-like. So if you think about families then as a nest, and as a kid, obviously I used to collect birds' eggs and stuff, and I've brought up all manner of creature. So when you're the weakest one, if you're the next born, see, it's a scavenge for food. So another one being born threatens your survival. And then people say, well, we have plenty of money. It doesn't matter. It's an emotional threat. Because when your mum and dad cannot not be excited at the birth of the new child, does that make sense? Their excitement cannot be curtailed. So, good evening, Jeanette. Sorry about that. We've been out in the hospital this afternoon and we brought this one. We're going to call him your brother. Yeah. And now he'll all retire for the evening. Oh, I got your bag of sweeties. Daddy, I'm the brother. It doesn't happen like that. Why? Because the relatives come in. What is it? It's a boy. What's a boy, Dad? I'm only 2. Right? So there's all of that happens, all of the excitement. So automatically your system's under threat without even, consciously putting it together. You're too young. All you know is there's a bean stealer in the house. Danny, planning number 2. Dun, dun, dun. Love it. Right, so I think, it's 8 o'clock. Thank you, Jeanette. You've been a wonderful volunteer. Eh? Thank you for popping along, gang. And we'll see you next month.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Masita, what was that? Are you done? Yay, brilliant. Bye-bye.